Hello and welcome to the Driving Maul podcast, brought to you from the University of South Wales Cardiff campus. Today we will be previewing Wales' match with Tonga, as well as looking at all the other games this weekend. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, Nath.
Before we start, I would like you all to sort of introduce yourselves and give the listeners a sort of taste of who you are and where you come from. So, Jamil, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm Jamil. I'm from Newport, so just down the road from Cardiff. I'm currently covering the USW First rugby team, so that's my background on rugby, and I'm looking forward to the podcast.
Hi, I'm Dan. I'm from Roos, just outside of Barry, and I'm currently covering the USW men's seconds rugby team. And yeah, like Jamil, I'm looking forward to the podcast and getting to know rugby more.
Yeah, I'm Tom. I'm 21 years old, and I'm on the sports journalism course at University of South Wales. My link with rugby is that I played for almost 10 years for my local side. Played on the wing, very poorly, and also had a season ticket with the Scarlets for the last 10 years now, since 2008. Started following them in 2003, and yeah, some good times.
My name is Richard. I'm 19 from Belfast, and my link with rugby is I used to play for several years. Follow Ulster Rugby, been a season ticket holder from 2012 until I arrived at University of South Wales, and also obviously a massive Ireland fan.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's get straight into it. Tom, let's start with you. 14 changes from the Australia match. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's not a massive surprise that he's made the changes. I think it's a good call, really. Some people say it's too many, with trying to get people to gel, but I think for a game like this, you're looking to experiment more than anything. I think it's one of those games where it's maybe more important to blood the players rather than get the win. I expect Wales to win anyway, but it's more important about getting them ready for, obviously, we're coming up to the Rugby World Cup now. Slightly surprised to see Dan Biggar at 10, I think. I don't think it's really the game that we kind of need him. I think we already know what he offers. I think someone like Reece Patcher would have been perfect for this kind of game, just open. We want to try and sort of run the Tonga backs down, try and get them tired. I think Patcher would have been perfect for that as well.
Obviously, Jonah Holmes has been picked. Obviously, not very well known to Welsh supporters. Plays for Leicester Tigers. He takes the number 15 jersey this weekend, Dan. Many Welsh supporters have been baying for Liam Williams to get that number 15 jersey, and he's been picked on the wing this week for his 50th cap. What do you think his contribution to Welsh rugby has been?
I think he's constantly delivered outstanding performances in a Wales jersey. His form for Saracens has been brilliant. He's got 2 hat-tricks this season. Not even just for Wales though, but say for British rugby overall. For the British and Irish Lions, he was superb on their tour in 2017. Was outstanding against the Chiefs. He is like a bit of a maverick in the sense that he takes more risks, say maybe than Halfpenny at fullback, likes to attack more, a bit of flair, a bit of style to his game. But both on the wing, he's a powerful runner on the ball. And yeah, I think he's done a lot in terms of increase the overall quality of the Wales team.
Now, what you would have heard at the start is an Irish tone, obviously a bit weird for this Welsh podcast, but Richard, you come from Belfast, as you said. Obviously being a neutral this weekend, is there any players that you would like to see starting for Wales?
Well, the lineup's been confirmed, but I think, as Tom said, it's very interesting to see Dan Biggar starting. Over the past sort of 2 games. It's sort of been all about Gareth Anscombe starting at 10, and Wales won both those games, so it sort of shows the impact that he's had. So I think this game against Tonga is just really a massive test for Dan Biggar to sort of show why he should be starting over Gareth Anscombe, but it's also a bit interesting because can you really judge him against a team that's 12th in the world at the minute?
Yeah.
So it'll just be interesting to see how Dan Biggar gets on at 10, I think.
And finally, Jamil, obviously if Wales win this weekend, it'll be 8 wins on the bounce, something that they haven't really done in quite a few years now. I think it was 1999 the last time they went on this sort of big run. Do you think they'll make it 8 wins this weekend?
I think they'll comfortably make it 8 wins, yeah. Just looking at some of the stats there, Wales have won all 8 meetings with Tonga, so that's a good omen for the Welsh side. Tonga have scored just 26 points in their 3 tests on Welsh soil, so I don't think it bodes well for the Tongans, and I see us winning comfortably by about 20 points. Regardless of the 14 change, I think they'll just be too strong, coming off the back of that Australia win as well.
Right. Obviously, we've talked a lot about the fly half situation with obviously Tom saying Reece Patcher would have probably been better suited. we've got a load of strength and depth. Obviously, coming off the bench last week against Australia, something that we haven't had in quite a few years under Warren Gatland. At the start of the autumn, he picked 4 fly halves. Tom, who do you think should really be the starting fly half for Wales?
Yeah, so as I mentioned Patch earlier, I think maybe if you had a World Cup final tomorrow and you wanted to try and play a safe bet and a game plan that you know would get you so far in a game, I think Biggar would be the one for that in terms of just his control of the game and just being safe, under the high ball, kicking for territory, etc. But I think these kind of games you just don't need that. I think we'd win the game with whatever fly off we started. Like, we wouldn't need the control as much as we would against a stronger side. But I think just someone like Patch will just obviously come back from injury as well from the HIA. He needs game time, and I think this would have been the perfect game, really. I know he's on the bench and he's going to get a cameo, but I think it'd been better to see him from the start.
And Dan, obviously Biggar being picked at fly half. Obviously you have Anscombe there as well and Jared Evans. Who do you think is the top pick for you?
For me, it is Gareth Anscombe. He was superb against Scotland. He linked up really well, I think, with the centres, Jonathan Davis, Hadley Parks, assisted 2 tries. I think you watch the game back and you see the link-up play, the passing between the 3. It was outstanding. So, again, he's got that vintage versatility that Gatland likes within his players. He's a natural footballer as well.
Yeah.
He's a playmaker, and he's really good at creating those gaps for other players to run into, as well as distributing the ball brilliantly. So I understand it's a type of game that you want to test, give new players a run out, but I think Anscombe is a reliable hand to have at the moment with the form he's in. And
obviously Richard, with Dan Biggar, he's been the main fly half in Wales. Do you think he should be the number 1?
Well, it's a tough one because obviously Wales, as I mentioned earlier, have won the past 2 games with Anscombe starting at fly half. Yeah. But against Australia in that 9-6 win, Dan Biggar, he did kick that winning penalty, really. Yeah. So it's obviously Dan Biggar over the previously has been, as you said, the biggest fly half for Wales, but I think Gareth Anscombe's really established himself on the international stage, and I think I would stick with Gareth Anscombe at fly half, to be honest.
And obviously the new face in the Welsh squad, Jamil, Jared Evans. He came on a little cameo role at the end of the Scotland game. What do you think he can bring to the Welsh side?
Well, I think he brings that risk taking that Dan Biggar may not bring, especially a game against Tonga. It would be perfect for him to be in the mix, I think, although he isn't. Obviously he's a youngster, he likes to play in an attacking way, and this is the kind of game he could do it, but like I say, compared to Biggar, who doesn't take many risks, I think he'd be perfect for this type of game. But I'd have to say Jared Evans personally.
And looking at obviously Tonga, there's a lot of names in that side that not many people would be used to. Tom, there's been a lot of talk this week on Wales Online about the giant prop that they have in the front row.
Yeah, Ben Tameifuna, he had pretty big prop. Seen him play for Racing a couple of weeks ago against the Scarlets, and he does well in terms of, you think someone like him he'd kind of blow out after about an hour, but I think he did pretty well. He's a big unit and a good scrummager, but he's a Wyn Jones obviously playing as well, who he's a pretty safe man in scrimmage, and he's probably, to be fair, I think the best scrummaging prop Wales have, to be honest. Stronger than I think Nicky Smith and Rob Evans. Really? But they've also got people like Steve Maffey as well. He used to play for Leicester Tigers in the second row, experienced. Sione Valanu as well. Almost didn't pronounce that. Good player. People like Maffey, and they'd be looking to them to kind of drag them through it if anything. But you can see Ali Piatau in the centre as well. Plays for Bristol. Charles Piatau's brother. So they got a couple of good players. They're very good players. Played at a good level. But I think that they're probably the 2 or 3 to look out for.
And Dan, obviously Tonga are well known for their expansive play, and obviously Wales might try to keep it tight. Starting his first game for Tonga tomorrow is Fia from the Ospreys. Obviously Welsh supporters will know him. What are your take on him?
Well, it's an interesting one because age 28, bit of a late bloomer coming to the squad, but he's a big prop. He's played 62 times for the Ospreys since joining them 2015. He's a junior World Cup winner in New Zealand, so he has got, say, you could argue, the pedigree at a young level. But it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Hopefully he gets on the pitch. Hopefully he has a game. He did actually represent them in an uncapped game against the French Barbarians in Bordeaux, right, which they won 49-38. So hopefully he's gelling into that squad well, getting used to the surroundings of the international stage. So it'll be interesting to see how he does.
And on the topic of autumn internationals, boys, a lot of talk has been said this week about how these autumn internationals are used as a sort of springboard for the World Cup, and obviously with Australia being in Wales's group, we've beaten them for the first time in, I think, is how many years, Tom? 11 years, something like that.
2008.
2008, 10 years.
attempts, yeah.
So, do these bode well for the World Cup, these sort of matches, Tom?
Yeah, I think they can't do any harm. I think the main sort of benefit of them is just the blood of the young players, really. The Argentinian tour of the summer did that as well. That helped. I know there's people like Adam Beard who wouldn't have had a chance otherwise, but I think these games are... I think when it's not a World Cup year, you kind of look at them and think, it's just another sort of friendly game. But I think when the World Cup year is approaching, they are good because we're going to learn, like we've already learned about people like Adam Beard, who's performed well on the back of the Argentinian tour, and other players. So we'll have a look at Jonah Holmes now on the weekend. Players like that, Leon Brown coming back in the front row. So I think these kind of games heading into a World Cup year are good because you're learning about the players and creating squad depth.
And obviously you were at the press conference yesterday, Warren Gatlin's press conference. Was there a sort of shock in the room when he announced that he was making 14 changes?
I think it was, like I say, I think it was fairly expected. Like maybe not as many as 14, but I think in general, I think people were, obviously these kind of games you're expecting quite a few changes, but I think on the whole, people were kind of, the press were, it was fairly expected.
Right, moving away from the international scene just for now, it wasn't the best week for USW, for the rugby teams anyway. The first, unfortunately, lost to Hartpury seconds away, 43-19. And Jamil, you made the hour-and-a-half trip to Gloucestershire. How did it go?
Well, like you say, we went up there with a bit of optimism. Obviously, Hartpury unbeaten. Well, they've won every game so far this season. So we didn't we went up with optimism, of course, but it's going to be a tough trip. The game kicked off 10 minutes late, so that obviously wasn't the greatest thing for preparation. And then the game was a bit of a weird one, really. It was just Hartpury, obviously that was their second side, and it's like against their first side. They were just so strong, and they had obviously a good support there as well. They had a lot of supporters there, so I think we just struggled a bit our side under the conditions, really. We managed to score 3 tries, so it wasn't all bad. There was some good moments. Kobe Flowers scored a good try, but other than that, I think it was just one of those ones where you have to just dust yourself off and just accept the result from such a good side. We got the trip to Bath next week, which they're second in the league at the moment, so that'll be more of a test, I think, rather than Hartpury, who are runaway leaders at the moment. I caught up with Ben Daniels as well after the game, who's the head coach, and he gave his thoughts on the game. Ben, obviously a tough defeat to take away at Hartpury. How do you feel about today's result?
We're obviously a little bit deflated. I think the score reflected the game. We're deflated because it's now nice to lose, and it's two losses on the bounce for us now. So we've got to bounce back. It was some decisions that didn't go away. It was unfortunate, but I think it's reality where we're at. I think the teams like Hartpury in particular, the amount of depth they've got. Yeah. It's just for them, it's just a rotation policy from the first team to the twos, and we know that isn't a good morning growing, but it's something that is very challenging. Week in, week out.
And going to Bath next week, how do you think you can improve on today's result?
I think again, Bath away is tricky. They're playing tonight now. The first team against Cardiff Met. They're a good quality outfit. They're a very well organised university. Good coaches, good structures in place, and again, depth of players. And we'll go there and try and get things back on the road and get a win. It'll be tough, but hopefully with a couple of injuries coming back and 1 or 2 players being made available next week, we can go down there and get a must win. Really. Yeah.
And lastly, going off topic a bit, how do you think Wales fare against Tonga on Saturday, and what's your prediction?
I think obviously Wales on the back of beating Australia. I think they've come out and publicly said they'll rotate the squad and give opportunities. I think Wales will win by 25-30 points. Yeah. But Tonga have been training here at the Sports Park this week. Of course, they're a big outfit, and I'm sure they'll cause Wales a lot of problems. But it'll be nice to see Wales bring some more additional youngsters through and create some depth ready for the World Cup.
Okay, thanks for your time. Cheers.
Thanks
for that. Let me travel today as well.
Obviously, Ben Daniels didn't sound best too pleased then, obviously with a heavy defeat for his side. Was it true that he tried to take his side off the field at half-time?
Well, yeah, he was upset at half-time with some contentious refereeing decisions, but I think Justin Bernard managed to talk him round, and the game stayed on. The players didn't want to call her off because they would have dropped points.
Yeah.
So they just played through. But like I say, it was a tough day at Hartpury. Hopefully we have a better result next week at Bath.
And obviously, one of the first year sports journalism students, boys, Bryn Goodwill, started for the first on Wednesday. What are your opinions on Bryn, guys? Obviously, whether it'll affect his studies, yes or no?
I think he's the kind of player that'll take it the right way. I think he's, from what I've seen, he's been very switched on with the course, taking up opportunities, and I think playing for the side, it allows him to see it from that player's perspective as well. So obviously when we're following the teams and we're interviewing them, obviously we know how the games have gone, but we don't really know the mood and the feeling and how the players feel within the dressing room, and I think that's a benefit for him. I think it's all about balancing, and I think so far he's doing that well. Looks a tidy player, plays in the centre, outside centre, big unit. He's obviously done very well to his first year on the course and first year at uni to get into the first team straight away. So I think the only way is up for him, really. He's looking very positive.
And obviously there were other matches this week, obviously with the thirds and the fourths getting quite heavily defeated, as well as a 62-0 loss for the women against Cardiff Uni. Our colleague Jordan Jones caught up with the women's coach Mark Hutton for his thoughts.
I'm here with Mark, head coach of the USW women's rugby team. Crushing defeat today, but how would you assess that game?
It was always going to be tough. We knew it would be top of the table, opposition. But this, looking at the game, reflecting, second half down to 14 players. Unfortunately, we didn't have no strength on the bench, so we played the second half with just 14 players, but conceded less tries. So for me, very spirited performance from the girls' second half, but inevitably things to work on. Our main focus is sort of defence structure, really.
Georgia Evans, of course, played today, but you were without Hannah Bluck. Was she a big miss at all?
Hannah is, excellent player. Involved in national setup, strong individual, with good ability. But I was blown away today by Georgia Evans' performance, to be truthfully honest. Physicality, just the work rate. It was just something that we hadn't seen. It was our first game representing the uni today, and I was totally blown away by her individual performance.
Is there anyone else out there that you thought performed well despite the defeat?
Yeah, it's building on the squad, recognising we've got a lot of new players that we're building and working with. Neve Tinman, the scrum half, that was only her second game. Last week she scored 3 tries, kicked 2 conversions, and again, that was another solid performance. Kicking into touch, again, was really impressed with. And it's for the girls. It's a learning curve, but one they're happy and prepared to take up. So. And
of course, you got promoted last season. Do you think you're capable of staying in Division 2?
Yes, for sure. I think if we keep working as we are. The girls' work ethic is particularly strong, and in training, and this part of the learning is having took a loss. Last year was very successful. But that's what we got to do. We want to progress up the league, so we've got to take. I'll be honest ourselves. Take losses on the head and work on us.
And we've got King's College away next week as well. Are you looking at the cup as perhaps a springboard to help improve the league as well?
Every game is development for an individual, particularly if they haven't played much rugby before. So now with that game out of the way, we can look towards that cup game. And I got no doubts we'll come back, with a fighting, spirited performance next week.
And just the last one from me, it's been a good year for women's rugby in USW. How would you assess it on a whole? I'm pleased and fortunate to be involved in the women's team here at USW. University very supportive. I see noticeable changes this year from last year, and that's all for the team in preparation for the team to do well and the development of the women's game here at the university. So I believe we're in a good place. Lots to work on, but we're in a good place. Thank you.
Sadly, a loss there for the women's rugby side. And obviously linking the university rugby with the international scene, Tonga trained at the USW Sports Park this week. Richard, what do you think of the facilities there?
Yeah, I found that very interesting because obviously the rugby pitch at the USW Sport Park is not the exactly Millennium Stadium quality, or Principality Stadium I should say. So it's interesting to see that they're probably working in a bit tougher conditions, I guess.
Yeah.
Preparing for that quality surface. But they may be used to that in Tonga, I'm not sure.
And obviously, Tom, we've had Australia, New Zealand, all the top international teams training there down the years. What do you think of the facilities? As in, obviously you've got the basketball court, which can be used for netball, volleyball. Obviously, the standard of the football pitches there are great. The barn indoors.
Yeah, it's very good. The amount of it's sort of situated, I'm saying, in the middle of nowhere, but it's kind of you look around the place and you wouldn't expect that just around the corner there's this massive sport park with these sort of international teams and just a wide variety of sports can take place. Obviously we had the indoor barn that opened recently, and that was opened by First Minister Karen James, just a very big Wales women's football team who did so well in their qualifying, almost qualified. They train there. That's where they're based. Cardiff City youth sides are based there as well. It just allows so many sports to go on, and it's most places, like you look at the university where they play, it's just for the university sides, but it's a big sort of positive for us that we're able to just welcome in these other sides as well and allow them to train and ultimately just increase the reputation.
And for anyone who is interested in sports, I would urge anyone to go down there on a Wednesday. I think all you boys would agree with me, if you've got it on your lunch break, just pop down there, watch a bit of sport. The standard is very good. It is a dream for anyone who likes football, rugby, basketball. Going on now to the international games this weekend. Obviously all 4 home nations involved. Have we all got a player that has really stood out for you and player to watch this weekend?
Yeah, I've gone for James Ryan of Ireland. Obviously they got All Blacks this weekend, so a massive game, probably going to be the biggest game of the year. Ireland have actually got a chance to win, maybe. No one's ever said that before. That's how big this game is, and I think James Ryan's going to be key if Ireland are to pick up the result against New Zealand on the weekend. So yeah, I'm going for James Ryan.
Yeah, and I've got Joe Cockanasinga for England, the winger who plays for Bath as well. He's been very good so far for Bath this season. Eddie Jones has said himself they see something special in him. He is set to start against Japan. I think it'll be a nice game for him to introduce himself to the international stage. I think he's big, he's strong, he's very fast, which is so key for international wingers these days. And I think he could still force his way into England World Cup squad. He does offer something different, what Eddie Jones already has at his disposal. So it's about having that variation in those players and that different option that Cockanasinga brings. I think will be interesting for England to certainly be a key asset for them in the future.
Yeah, I'm to be honest, I'm looking forward to seeing Tyler Morgan coming back. Obviously, it's easy, a lot of people forget, myself included, that he started that World Cup quarter-final against South Africa. Obviously, it was an injury-plagued tournament, but he came in and did really well and didn't let himself down. And it's been a tough couple of years since then. Tough few years for him with injuries with the Dragons and not getting much game time, but he's back in the centre on Saturday, starting outside Owen Watkin. I think he has a good chance to get into that squad. Obviously, you have people like Jonathan Davis, Hadley Parks, who you'd imagine would be starting, but this is why these games are good. They give you the chance to try and force your way in, and yeah, it's been quite a long road back for Tyler, but he's got a good chance now to try and get his career back underway.
Yeah, I've gone for the Glasgow Warriors fly half Adam Hastings. He starts on the bench against South Africa this weekend, but I found it very interesting that the starting number 10 Finn Russell came out and said that he doesn't see him as an enemy. He set up his first international try as well, and he said that he welcomes the competition, which is great for any side to know that. He said, I don't feel I've got to shut him out from everything that I know. Adam is 22, so he's 4 years younger than me. I'm trying to help him out as much as possible, so it sort of shows that team spirit and how they back each other as well.
And that is interesting. Tom, obviously we've seen a lot of players leaving Wales over the last few years, going to France, and obviously I think Gatlin said after the game last weekend he's trying to get Josh Adams back in Wales.
Yeah.
Scotland have, again, the same issue now really, with Greg Laidlaw and Finn Russell playing out in France, and obviously this week with the news of Stuart Hogg leaving Exeter. Is this a worry for Scottish rugby?
I think it could be. It just depends how they deal with it. Obviously, we've had to, in recent years, make that selection policy where how we're going to pick players that go abroad. And I think, obviously, like anything, it has the negatives and the positives to it. I think if they're being exposed to a sort of higher quality of rugby, I'm not saying there's too much of a difference between teams like Glasgow and certain ones in France, but I think it's for the player themselves. So obviously Finn Russell's gone to Racing. I think the benefits for him, he's getting to play with probably overall a higher quality or calibre of player. and then when he's coming back, he's maybe in better form. But I think that there is a danger that it could affect Scotland. But I think Townsend's quite clever, and they've created some good squad depth there. So I think they'll be all right.
And obviously you got South Africa this weekend. That's going to be a tough game with South Africa coming back.
Yeah, it should be a bit of a stonker really. South Africa, like I said, defeated New Zealand in the last few months, which is in Eden Park, which is quite amazing really, considering how poor they've been in the last couple of years. But it should be a very good game at Murrayfield. One of the closer ties of the weekend. Depends, I think, mainly if Scotland can sort of deal with South Africa's physical power. That's obviously the main facet of the game, and they're bringing that back now. Big players all over the field. I think if Scotland can sort of nullify them and match them in that area, then they've got the people in the backs to cause problems.
And Jamil, obviously you mentioned James Ryan of Ireland, obviously coming up against New Zealand. Do you think that's the game of the year?
I think so, yeah. Especially if Ireland manage to pull off a result. Obviously that's going to be tough because you never back against the All Blacks, but I think it's definitely the game of the year, yeah. I think it's going to be a cracker in Ireland.
And Dan, obviously England-Japan, that's pretty much nailed down for a home win.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, a bit of a walkover, really. I think England should come away with that, They should be winning by a huge amount, really. I mean, like I said, young players like Cock and Singer would be good for them just to get that taste of international rugby, just to sort of integrate them into the squad. It's just a test, really, just to give the young players a chance.
And Rich, obviously a quick view from your point of view as an Ireland supporter. Are you nervous about this weekend?
I just don't know what to expect, really. Obviously Ireland got that win against the All Blacks in Chicago, and then they brought it back to Dublin a couple of weeks later and lost. It's just and then in 2013 as well, Ireland probably should have beaten the All Blacks in Dublin and then conceded that last minute try, and then obviously the controversial conversion which had to be retaken. So I think it's just whoever turns up on the day, really. I think both sides will fully go for it, and it'll be a cracking game.
And I don't know if any of you watched the England-New Zealand game last week. Obviously there was the contentious decision with Courtney Lawes. Rich, what did you make of that decision with the offside?
I think it was an interesting one from the referee, but yeah, it was very, very controversial. I don't think the England fans were very happy with it.
No.
Yeah, I think there's quite a bit of irony in that as well, because obviously the decision was Courtney Lawes offside, and obviously that game which England played against Italy a couple of years back, where Italy decided not to create a tackle area, so there's no ruck.
Yeah.
Obviously Eddie Jones complained after that game, and eventually was pretty much the reason why the law got changed. And the law it used to be like with the back foot of the defending player, but now like New Zealand have managed to exploit it, where they when they've got the ball in the ruck, they put their player like sort of more onto the defensive side, and then that creates the offside line, which pushes the defensive line back. And so that's actually managed to work. Quite ironically, it's worked against England. So if that law hadn't been changed after them moaning, then that decision on last Saturday, Lawes would have been onside, and England would have scored and they would have won.
I think there's a lot of talk. Obviously, Lawes stands out, doesn't he? Really, I think he's something like 6'6", something like that.
Yeah,
but he was offside, and it was a good decision in my opinion. Anyway,
it was the right decision.
Yeah, and obviously we'll finish off with Wales this weekend. Obviously, this go round and talk about predictions, starting with Jamil.
Like I say, I think we'll win by comfortably 20-25 points. Regardless of the changes, I think we'll be too strong for Tonga, especially off the back of that Australia win. So yeah, I'm going to go for a 20-point win for Wales.
Yeah, I think same for me. I think around 20-point win. But look at the confidence they're on from the back off the Australia victory. Yeah, they've made a lot of changes, but hopefully these players can handle it. Bigger will be leading the inexperienced line, but I think they'll be too good for Tonga.
Yeah, we always kind of seem to maybe underperform slightly in these games, but I think we always tend to just have enough of the ball, enough possession and territory to get a win back couple of scores. So I'd say you're probably looking at a 15-20 point win, and hopefully some of the players coming in people like Jonah Holmes can impress.
Yeah, with the 14 changes, it may not be well, I think it'll be a heavy scoreline, a heavy win for Wales, maybe about 15 points, but I don't think it'll be a good game with the obviously 20-point tickets. It'll be a good crowd as well, and the Welsh support will obviously get fully behind them. A little bit of an odd fixture, I guess, third in the world against 12th, so you fully expect Wales to turn up on the day, and the pressure's on Wales really. Tonga can go into this game with no pressure on their backs, and they'll play their own free-flowing game probably, and give it there also. It could be closer than we think, but I think Wales will win by 15-20 points.
That's great to hear. Hopefully they do win. I just want to say thank you all for your insight, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We'll be back on Monday to review the weekend's action and all the talking points from the weekend. Thank you all for listening.